In a fog brightly. What a title. In a fog brightly. Say it fast. Fog bright. You notice that Jesus and his companions were eventually in a cloud, right? Clouds. Interesting. Okay. Do you mean they were in a fog? Were they in a fog? I looked on Wikipedia. Fog is a collection of liquid water droplets or ice crystals suspended in the air or near Earth's surface. While fog is a type of stratus cloud, the term fog is typically distinguished, blah, blah, blah. The foggiest place on Earth is the Grand Banks off the island of Newfoundland. Interesting little bit of trivia there. Types of fog. I would have never guessed. That's why I put them down. I thought, this is interesting stuff. They're caused by various means. Okay, radiation fog, ground fog, advection fog, sea smoke, steam fog, evaporation fog, Arctic sea smoke, precipitation fog, upslope, hill fog, valley fog, freezing fog, artificial fog, Garua fog, hail fog. That's only 12. I thought fog was just fog. I just know that if you're driving and then it's warm and it's cold and then all this stuff. So Jesus and his disciples were in the cloud and probably couldn't see a darn thing. But they probably didn't need to at that point. And I wonder why that happened. Why was there a cloud? Why was it that they couldn't see anything and all of a sudden they heard the voice of God? What was the purpose of that? Their sense of sight was diminished, limited. They couldn't see what was going on. Yet they heard the voice. The voice told them to listen to the voice of Jesus. To listen. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Stories. Interesting things. I wonder if we can relate to this kind of fog, I think we can, in our own lives. Not necessarily the fog, the physical fog, but the metaphorical fog, when we're kind of in a fog. I know that if I have a lot of sugar, then I become in a fog, my brain disengages and I don't have a clue who I am or where I'm at. So we don't have sugar before worship service while I'm trying to preach, because I've done it before. I just drew a blank and I just had to stand there for about 10 minutes. This transfiguration gives us the idea that Jesus is something more. Gives his disciples a snapshot of something more, that Jesus is just not a nice rabbi that walks around and heals people and before this time fed 5,000 and he heals. It's more than that. It gave him a snapshot and a soundbite of God. The soundbite they hadn't heard since his baptism 3 years earlier than that. This is a snapshot of something more. That Jesus is simply not who they think he was. The limited sense that we have of God. We have a limited sense of a lot of things. We're in the fog about a lot of different things. Weapons of mass destruction. We have limited knowledge. We act on it. We run. We deploy thousands of troops out to the Middle East because of the thought of weapons of mass destruction. We have limited sense of, was it real? Was it not real? But in this life, sometimes we only have limited sense of anything. And we have to take what we have and do the best job we can with the resources we have, with the vision we have, with the thoughts that are collected in our minds to make some sort of decision, and hopefully the right one. Incomplete, yes. But oftentimes we don't have a complete picture of anything. Even our own selves, we don't have a complete picture of who we are. Our families, our friends, we have snapshots. And sometimes sound bites at best. What we do with this information, I think, measures us as people, for us people of God. How do we act with limited amounts of information? What drives us? Do we assume the best in people or the worst? Do we hope for the best but plan and expect for the worst? Do we act out of fear or love? Fear is easy, love is not. And you know what I mean. Love puts us out there, and that's not comfortable for us. It says that Jesus was praying, and that was important to him. It accessed a part of this God connection that is accessible for us too. But Jesus utilized it in many more ways, in much greater strength than we could ever imagine. This connection with God through prayer gives us a better snapshot, a better soundbite, if you will, a better conduit through which to act as people of God, through love, through fear. It might tip the balance in favor of acting in love rather than fear. Jesus' mountaintop experience, and we've noticed those, we've had those, we've been in those before, sets him apart from the others for a moment. And then reality strikes as he goes down the hill and meets the crowds. And he's once again back to healing and helping and feeding and et cetera, with who he is. And the disciples have been dumbfounded through this transfiguration, this dazzling light, the fog that they were in, this connection with God that they've never thought possible. They don't have any words to say. But yet they follow, dumbfounded, following without talking. And I think for Peter that was tough to do, because I think he just talked, and you know he stuck his foot in his mouth more often than not, as we do more often than not. We have limited information. We see in a fog brightly oftentimes. We have snapshots about who God is. We read the scriptures and we see bits and pieces. It doesn't tell the whole story, but in some sense it's enough. We have that big, thick Bible with all kinds of stories, all kinds of information, all kinds of ways that people responded over the years and how God acted throughout the years. And we apply them today. We know that things happen today as they did way back when. People are sometimes basically the same as they were as now as then. And we draw strength from the knowledge that God has been with his people back then, and God is with his people now, talking to us, guiding us. It's paradoxical that we have such a limited amount of information, a limited vision of who God is, and yet our call is to spread the word, to talk about God with incomplete information at times, because we fully don't understand, but yet we're pushed out. And sometimes when we go out and talk, we understand more. We become in dialogue with other people, we find out there's more from their perspective, that they've seen some God moments that we have not. It adds to who we are and our knowledge of who God is. It adds to our faithfulness. It adds to our strength in our faith. We go out hoping to give, and we receive. God is with us in our fog. Jesus never left them. He said, okay, you guys stay in the fog. I'm going to stay out here in the sunshine. No, Jesus was with them through the thick and the thin, through the fog and not the fog. There is so much beyond us, and yet we have so much to hold on to. That's the paradox. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and immerse yourself in your own clouds, in your own fog. Leave that sense of sight and listen to the words of God one more time. This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him. And God also tells us, you are my chosen people. Listen to my voice. I love you. I will not let you down or leave you. You are dear to me. Amen.